Moriarty here. Great to have you here. If you're joining me on the live, please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. I am currently on an island, which is pretty cool, and enjoying some time by the ocean, and here to answer your questions all on Google Workspace. So if you're watching, I think this is on live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and of course on our YouTube channel. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. So I'm going to get through as many questions as I can. If you'd like to ask questions, you can do that at our questions page. You just head along here to slido.com. You can enter that code there. Or there's an easier way to do it. You can just go to ask.peter.tv. Very simple. Ask.peter.tv. Just drop that into your, your browser, and it'll redirect you and take you straight there. So you can drop a question in there. I'm going to get through as many as I can. The other cool thing about that is you can actually upvote or downvote which questions you'd like me to answer. So I'm going to cover as many as I can. In the next little while, focusing on Google Workspace. I know there's all kinds of questions here. I might do a businessy one on another channel another time. If you want to check out my other channels, head along to peter.tv. There's a link to all my channels there, a few different places we're publishing. We've got a business channel launched now, which is really cool. I'm very happy about that and excited about that. But this stream, we're going to be covering Workspace. I haven't done Workspace questions in a while, so I'm going to try and get through as many Workspace questions as possible. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in. Oh, and before I forget, I want to let you know, if you are watching the stream in just a couple of weeks' time, we have this pretty awesome event happening. It's called Slackers to Stars. It's all about building amazing, high-performing teams. If you're interested to check that out, it's a free online training. You can go ahead and check that out online. I'll drop the link here as well, but it's pages.itgenius.com/S2S. Pretty easy. pages.itgenius.com/S2S. But I'm going to drop the link into the comments here as well, just so you can get access to that if you're interested. And let me see. Oh, that's interesting. My comments are not letting me paste. All right. Well, you're going to have to remember that URL. If not, just head along to peter.tv. There'll be a link up there later today for you to go ahead and check that out. But would love to see you there if you want to join us. Welcome, Aman. G'day. Good to see you on the stream. Thanks for joining. Cool. All right. Great. Well, drop your questions down into the slides, and I'll get to as many of those as I can on the stream. All right. Let's go and find my questions now. Cool. Okay, so there's one here from Akil. Let's highlight this question. My email account is disabled due to spam. How can I recover it? And Google is not regaining access to my account either. Okay, well, that's certainly a challenge. So if you are stuck with a disabled email account, there's usually a couple of reasons why that may have happened. Sometimes there's a compromise within your Google account, meaning that your username and password have been compromised, and so someone else has gained access to it. And that means that your account is basically no longer safe. Now, what most people do when they get access to an account is they're going to try and steal your data, or they're going to use your account to try and get into other people's accounts. So they'll use your account to spam other people and try and steal other people's information as well. Not good. We don't want any of those scenarios. Now, the way to get it back is if you have a personal account. It's pretty challenging because you've got to go through Google support. There's 2 billion Gmail accounts, and it's pretty hard to get through to anyone who can help, but just do your best with support. I'm not really familiar with the consumer Gmail account support process these days because I don't use Gmail accounts. We only use business accounts around here. But if you have a business account, you can get back into your account, usually through using DNS. So there's a DNS recovery method, and you just basically go to your account, you reset the administrator's password using the DNS method, it's called. And there's a little button that you can click that says, help, I need to get access to my account, and then I'll get you back in. Now, third option, and this is the best option, is to actually work with a partner. So IT Genius will help you to get access to your account using one of the methods that we have access to. We also have direct lines to Google support, which makes it a little bit easier as well, being a partner. But if you are working with a Google partner, it means that we actually have a back-end access to your account to get access if you ever get locked out. So from time to time, bad things happen, right? Either your account, on purpose or not on purpose, gets locked out, based on the activities that you're doing in your account. Sometimes what that requires is for someone to actually reset an administrator password. And rather than trying to go through Google support, our team can actually do that from the back end of our account. So obviously you've got to verify who you are and that you're not someone pretending to be you. But effectively, we can get access to accounts where some of our customers have been locked out. So if you're interested in some help with that, it's a good idea to team up with IT Genius. You can click onto the links, head along to our website, and you can take advantage of our transfer in offer. And the transfer in offer, I'll show you what that looks like. It actually it doesn't cost you anything. It's a very good offer, and it basically gives you free access to our most basic concierge program. So if you head along to our website here, itgenius.com, go to products, and then transfer in billing offer. You'll see it on this right-hand side here. And basically you get a free account audit, bunch of extra features, and all it takes is for you to switch your billing through to us. So it doesn't cost you any extra, but when you run into problems, our team will actually do a basic level of support for you for free, which is really cool. So you get access to a little bit of free support. So yeah, if you're interested in that, jump along, and our team would love to help you out with that. Okay, let's mark that guy as answered, and let's move on to our next question. See if I can find an interesting question here. All right. Cool. Okay. Oh, this is a great question. All right. So I got a good deal on Google Meet hardware. They have the device. They've got an i7 device, camera, touchscreen, and then they realize that there's a license needed for it all to work. Why bother with the expense when a Chromebook will run a Meet for free in a small meeting room? Okay, this is a great question. Why would I bother paying for the license fee and the whole experience of Google Chrome Meets? Now, if you're not already familiar, Google Meet hardware is a hardware package that you can buy from Google, and that hardware package allows you to have effectively a professional video conferencing setup in a meeting room, all integrated deeply with Google Meet. Now, they also integrate with other third-party meeting applications. So they're building an integration for Zoom. It may have already been released, and they do also have integrations through third-party tools to other meeting technology like WebEx and possibly even Microsoft Teams as well. Now, the great thing about setting this up in a boardroom or a meeting room, if you actually have a physical office, is that you can walk into the room, click one button, and join the meeting immediately. And what I really like about that, when we have offices set up, because we've got a few little satellite offices set up in co-working spaces, and sometimes they're in other shared locations in other businesses, and we have one small office in Melbourne. When we have one of these meeting room tools set up, we can just walk into the meeting room, click a button, and automatically join the meeting that we need to join. Now, the thing I really love about that is there's no fuss. You're straight into the meeting, and it's completely idiot-proof. Your team don't have to worry about, have I got the right meeting link? What time is the meeting? Whose calendar is it on? They can just walk into a meeting room, click a button, and boom, they're automatically into the meeting. So great if you've got like a standing team meeting that recurs every week and you want to join that. The other cool thing that is basically built into that is if you've got some of the better quality cameras, it'll automatically crop and zoom and move around the room and bring people into frame. And so there's some more advanced features available on some of the higher end cameras that you can plug into the system. So I really like that. And really the best thing about this is it's an alternative to what we used to do in the old days, which was spend $5,000 or $10,000 kitting out a meeting room with professional video conferencing technology. And if you can have a meeting room set up that allows your team to feel like they're more together, or allows your customers to feel like they're closer to you, you're going to cut down on your travel costs, you're going to build better culture in your business, and it's going to help you to have a remote team feel like they're more working in the same room. Now, when we use this for our meetings, what we do is we will actually join the meeting from our laptops, and we use Google's companion mode in Meet for that. What that does is it lets you join the meeting a second time from your device without hearing echoes, because it disables the camera and it disables the audio, which is very cool. But once you've got a meeting set up on your TV in your office, which is the only device that you have to procure yourself for this setup, you then sit down, you can rejoin from your laptop, and at that point you can then choose to, if you want to, screen share from your computer into the meeting, and it will show up on the big screen. So I really love this setup. It's basically the convenience of being able to walk into a meeting room, click one button, and be straight in the meeting is what you're paying for. It's only $250 per year for the license, so I don't think that's too much to pay for to have that convenience. And when you have a group-based calendar for the boardroom and you're reserving the boardroom, what it does is anytime a meeting has reserved that boardroom or has been set up on the boardroom's calendar, it'll automatically reserve the resource, which is nice. It means no one else can book it out. But it also automatically creates a meeting as long as you've added additional recipients to the meeting, just like it would if you're scheduling a meeting in calendar on your device. And what that means is that when you get ready for the meeting, all you have to do is walk straight into that meeting room, click one button, boom, you're into the meeting, nice and simple. So it's my strong recommendation, buy the bullet, pay for the license, and make use of that for your dedicated meeting spaces. They're really great. If it's a small, tiny meeting room and you've only got one person running a huddle in there, then maybe you would just have an external monitor that they can plug into their laptop. That's what some businesses do in those scenarios. But if you have a mid-sized meeting room with 2 or 3 people or a large boardroom with a number of people, you want to make sure you're jumping onto Google Meet hardware. Great solution for that. Cool. All right. So I like that question. That was a good one. I'm going to mark that one as answered. Cool. All right. So we've got a couple of random ones here. Someone has asked how to enable multi-send mode in Gmail, but I've got no idea what that is. I don't know what that is. All right. Let's have a look. Okay. All right. Here's a good question from Craig. Okay. So managing mobile phones and devices in your business, how do you handle these? Do you provide the device and pay for network costs, or do your staff bring their own devices, and does the business compensate them in some manner? Yeah, that's a great question. So for most of our staff, they don't actually use their mobile devices in our business because we use a system called Dialpad. Now, Dialpad is a business phone system, and that allows us to have an app running on our phones that effectively gives each person a business line. And with that business line, they can then choose which customer they're going to call, and the customer never sees that person's mobile phone number. The only thing that it might consume on their phone is mobile data, but most of our staff are working from an office location or a co-working space or a home office primarily, and so they're going to have access to their Wi-Fi, so they don't need to use the 4G connection on their phone. They're just downloading the app, and then they're able to use that for calls. So that's calls taken care of. But this is a good question because it opens up the possibility of, what do we do with people connecting to work data on their phones, and how do we protect that, right? Because if you've got people using their phones for work, even if it is a personal device, you want to make sure that you've got that device locked down properly, so you don't have any risk of business data disappearing from the business. And so Google's got some pretty cool tools inside Google Workspace for mobile device management. And inside the mobile device management menu, you can actually use that to lock down some of your devices. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to head into my admin panel. Let me share my screen here. So heading along to my admin panel at admin.google.com, it's going to allow me to enter my mobile device settings. Just going to go ahead and sign in here. Okay, so if I go to, let me zoom in here, my devices menu, and then mobile and endpoints, you can see here, I can see all the devices that are connected to my account. I can see what kind of device they are. I can see who owns the device or who's registered the device. I can also see when the last time it synchronized and when it was first connected as well. Now, in here, I can actually go into our settings for both Android and iOS. They're handled differently. There's also, you can see their Windows settings if you want to connect computers, but that's a topic for another day. And here inside our menu for our mobile device settings, you can see that I can start to set certain settings, certain configurations for mobile devices that connect to my business. Now, here's some of the ones that you might want to do as the basics. You probably want to make sure that everybody has a password enforced on their device, so that they are protecting your company data if they accidentally leave their phone on a train, or they lose it or leave it at a restaurant. You don't want someone to be able to open that phone and automatically get access to all of your business data. So you want to make sure that the phone is locked down. Second, you can choose to do things like enforce encryption on the device. You could make sure that their backups are encrypted. So if there's any company data or company files that might be downloaded to the device, in the case that someone else gets their hands on the device, well, there's less likely to be a security breach there. Some of the other cool things that you can do if you want to get a bit more advanced is integrate with third-party device management applications to do things like push down Wi-Fi settings, maybe even change the background of the phone. There's lots of different options there, or even pushing down certain apps that you definitely want to have installed on the phone. Google's mobile device management feature actually has quite a bit that you can do straight out of the box. But if you want to get into some of more of the advanced features, particularly with Android, you need to be on the Business Plus plan inside of Google Workspace. So it might be time to consider upgrading to Business Plus to get access to more features here. Now, for executives in the business, we do pay their phone bill. That's just something that we have as an expense for the company. But usually we're not using that many calls on our mobile devices anymore. We make most of our phone calls using the Dialpad app, and that gives us a business line that if customers need to call us, they can use the business line. It's nicely branded. And it also means that everyone has a consistency. If a staff member leaves the business and someone comes in to replace them, we don't have the awkwardness of a staff member with a personal mobile being given out to our clients. The clients just know our business lines and they just call the business line anytime there is help needed. All right, hope that one was useful. Great question on mobile management. Okay, let's mark that one as answered. Okay. I wonder if I can sort by popular. Yes, all right, I've already got that there. That's great. Okay, so question here, I'm new to Google Workspace. What's the easiest way to set everything up, including a web page to park my domain online? I spent 4 hours chatting to Google support and they were not helpful. Okay, well, that's a good question. Go into Google Drive and start setting up your user shares. Create some shared folders, start to create some groups for permissions in your admin panel and connect those groups into your shared folders so you can start having staff get access to resources. If you've got an existing business and you've just moved over to Workspace, you probably want to do things like go into Calendar and start to set some recurring meetings for all of your team, for any recurring meetings that are important for you and your business. You probably want to set up each of your team on the apps on their mobile phones to make sure that they can access Gmail, access Drive, and access anything else that they might need access to from their mobile phone when they're on the go. We set up different spaces inside our workspace, like a water cooler chat for the team to chat about off-topic and banter stuff, an all-team chat so I can post announcements for the whole company, and then a different chat just for management as well, so we can have conversations that we need to have that aren't in the view of absolutely everybody in the business. Next, if you're new to the Google document format, you probably want to spend some time familiarizing yourself with Google Docs. Maybe you take some existing documents or spreadsheets that you have and convert them into Google format. Once you've converted the documents, you'll get a bit of a feel for how they work, how the editing and real-time saving works. You also might want to have a look at features like revision history, so you can see that any change you make to a document, you can always roll back at some point in the future. And then if you're interested in getting a website set up or parking your domain name, you can use a tool called Google Sites for that. Now that's in your Google Drive. You need to go to your Drive and open a new document and then click on to More and then open Google Sites. And that's where, if you wish, you can create a public website using Google Sites. And you would just have to forward your domain name to redirect to that website if you wanted to use it as a public site. If you're just getting started, there's heaps of videos on our channel that'll help you to get started and get successful with your Google Workspace account. Or if you're interested in joining Concierge, we actually have a bootcamp which we run multiple times a year called Mastering the Google Workspace Basics. Now, that is a full-day event. Well, it's 2 half-days. And in that bootcamp, we take you through all of the basics of Workspace. And we help you get set up. You actually implement it in the room. And if you're interested in becoming a part of that, it's now private to our Concierge members only. So head along to itgenius.com, check out a Concierge plan, and you'll get access to the next bootcamp when they come around. From time to time, we do also do some live trainings. We ran a live training about a month ago, and that was all about how to get the basics right. We just did like a 1-hour power session. If you're interested in more of those, keep a watch out on the channel, and we'll be posting them up soon. All right, great question there. I'm going to go and tick that one as done. Okay, let me see that. All right, got a good question here on storage. I manage an org that has 5 users. I have admin access to adjust settings for users. How can I give one user the majority of the Google Drive space available? It's currently limited to 30 gigabytes, and the other 4 users do not need that much space. I want to give the one user about 125 gig and the others what's left. Okay, so this is an interesting question, but you're actually approaching it the wrong way. So you can't apportion a certain amount of space just for one user. By default, when you're using Google Workspace, it now includes pooled storage. And so if you're on the business plans, each person's storage, whether it's 1 terabytes or 2 terabytes or more, is going to be pooled into one big storage pool. Now, to limit users' access and to make some users unlimited, what you want to do is actually go into your storage settings and set a policy around storage. So let's go ahead and do that inside our Google Drive. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to go to our admin panel, and there we head along to admin.google.com, and that's going to bring up our admin panel. Now, usually the easiest way to get around the admin panel is to actually search. So I'm going to search here for storage. That hasn't shown up. Okay, let's try again. Limit. Okay, no, it's going to make a liar out of me. So let's go to Drive. So I'm going to go into my settings for Google Drive. And now I'm in my settings here. Let's go and have a look for storage quota. Maybe I need to search for quota. That might help. Nope. Okay. Perhaps it is in another area, because I know there are storage settings. I just seem to have missed them. It's actually in storage. Okay, Google have moved it. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go to our admin panel, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to storage. Here you can see I've got all the storage and all the different users in my account and how much storage they are actually using individually. You can also see the storage for your shared drives. So where you have your different shared drives and files sitting in those shared drives, they actually show up there as well. Now, if you want to set an individual storage limit, you can click onto the Manage button here, and then we can start to actually set a policy. Now, policies are applied at the organizational unit level. So if you see along here on the left-hand side, right now I'm at the very top level of IT Genius Australia. And so that's going to set the storage limit for any user included in that organization. So that's going to be every single person inside my company. Now, that's not really what I want right this second. So what I actually want is to set an individual storage limit for a group of users. So in this case, this person has said, well, I want one person to use 125, and I want everyone else to use what's left. Now, let's say maybe you want everybody else to use 5 gigabytes, but no more. Well, what we would do is we would create a new organizational unit here, and we would say limited storage users. And so I won't do that in this moment because I don't want to disrupt my teams, but we'd create a new organizational unit. And let's say, for example, we want to limit the remote technician organizational unit to 5 gigabytes. We'd first click on the organizational unit, and instead of inheriting the storage limit, we'd say switch this on to override the policy, and I could say 5 gigabytes. Once I hit save, it's automatically going to save those changes and it's going to apply those policies. Now, all I have to do is go to my users menu next in directory and then users, and then I can move the users into the correct organizational unit. Once I move a user into the correct organizational unit, that means that that person is going to be stored in the correct place. So it makes it nice and easy. And what that will do is if you take your total storage minus the 125 gigabytes that you want a premium, one single user to access, then you can reduce it for everyone else. But you may have noticed something interesting there in the storage menu where I was showing multiple users and their storage use plus the shared drives. In my opinion, you shouldn't really have any users that have much data sitting in their own individual drive. Ideally, if most of your company documents are owned by the business owner and you want your company files to actually be authored by the team and shared with the team, the best place to put them is inside your shared drives. And your shared drives allow you to have one place where you can put files, put folders, and immediately have them shared with just the right people that need access to them. So it doesn't really make sense to me why you would have an individual user who's hoarding lots of data in their own user account, because shared drives are the best way to do that. Okay, great question though. Cool. All right, I'm going to tick that. All right. All right. Here's a good question. So we have a question here from Anonymous, and that is, when I share a file folder inside a shared unit, I can choose for that shared to be restricted, or it can be shared to company members or anyone with the link. In my case, when I choose restricted or company members, it's the same. It includes all company members. How can I customize what restricted should be? Thanks in advance. This is a great question because I think this is actually a drive setting that might be incorrect for this user. Now, when you have settings set up for Google Drive inside Google Workspace, you have a global setting for Google Drive in a global policy. Now, when you have a global policy, it means that it applies to everyone in the organizational unit right across your company. Now, if you want to change settings for a certain subset of users, you can use groups for that, but the best way to do it is to use organizational units and logically put your staff in organizational units that have individual policies applied to them. Now, in this case, it looks like it's something that this person wants to manage right across the whole company. So let's go and look at the global policy for Google Drive and see what we can see inside there. So the first place we want to go is to our admin panel. We're going to go to admin.google.com, and that's going to bring up our dashboard. Now, we want to look at our Google Drive settings. So let's search for Drive, and we're going to bring up the settings for Drive and Docs. And what we're going to be looking for here is sharing settings. Google will put that right up the top for us, nice and easy. And you're going to look for what the default access is amongst your files. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not sure exactly why, but sometimes when you create a file, Google may, or when you create a Google Workspace account, Google may set some of the file sharing settings to be a little liberal, meaning that when you create a file, it might automatically share that file with everybody inside your company. You can see here one of those settings is called General Access Default. And if I open that, you can see here that if it's set to the primary target audience can search for and find the item, it's automatically going to share this file with anybody who has access inside my company. So basically it means that your files inside the company are going to be public to each other and everyone's going to be able to find each other's files. Now you can see here you may choose to have link sharing enabled by default. That's another one that some companies have set up. But my personal preference is really that all files should be private only to the owner and not shared right across the company. It just keeps things a little bit tidier, and it means that no one's looking at files that they shouldn't be. You can see here when shared drives are created, you've got settings there. You've got sharing suggestions. That looks like a little AI feature there, which is pretty cool. But adjusting these settings are probably going to help you to find where the amiss is with sharing things with a restricted basis, but them still appearing open for everyone in the business. Have a look through those settings. Let me know if you can't work that out. All right, great, good question. I liked that one. Okay, good question here. So this person has asked, how can a Google Workspace account, which has one primary domain and two secondary domains, be split into 3 separate Workspace accounts, but Oh, I see. So, and right now, one super admin manages all 3 domains under one admin console. Okay, great question. So the process, my apologies, I hit the wrong button again. The process of splitting out a Google account is straightforward in nature, but a little bit technical in the actual implementation. Effectively, what you're going to do is if you have 3 accounts all in one, or 3 domains all in one account, and you want to split that out to 3 separate accounts, you're going to be registering yourself for 2 additional new workspace accounts, and then transferring the domains to those accounts, and then finally transferring the data as well. Now, the challenge is doing this without things becoming confusing. If you move a domain name, but not all of the data has been moved across yet, you may have new emails coming to a fresh mailbox without all of your historical data. If you move data, but not the domain name, you may have fresh emails going to an old mailbox, which doesn't have the data transferred across yet. If you've got lots of files inside your Google Drive, you also need to think about, how do I move those files from account to account? Now, we actually own a consulting company, and IT Genius does this all day long, migrating accounts from separate businesses into one consolidated account, or in this case, taking one consolidated account and splitting it out into multiple individual accounts. You can get this done with the built-in migration wizard in the admin panel inside Google. If you make sure you get all the steps in the right order with your DNS and moving the files across, it is possible to demerge an account using Google's built-in tools. And you can find documentation for those in the Google Help Guide. But my strong recommendation is that you work with a set of professional consultants who will help make this happen for you. The reason for that is we don't use the inbuilt Google tools for most of our migrations of this nature because they just don't really work that well. They're prone to errors, and sometimes things can go wrong if you don't have the exact steps in place, step by step. The other thing is, if you are using Google's built-in tools, all you've got to go to for support is Google themselves. And they're good at helping you troubleshoot the tool, but they're not really set up to help you with, managing your business processes and managing the methodology for merging accounts. You've got to read the instruction manual and work out how to do that yourself. So if you'd like some professional support to get this done, our team will be happy to help you out. Click on the link down below wherever this video is, and we'll be very happy to help quote up what a migration might look like for you and give you the support you need to manage and change your accounts. Now, we work with organizations from 1 employee or even a sole trader as just 1 person to 20, 30, 50, even hundreds or thousands of employees. We primarily work with small and medium-sized businesses, and we love supporting small business owners to help you get ahead with Google. Click on the link below this video if you're interested in some help. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, this person has said, organization storage is full. You've exceeded 136 terabytes of workspace storage. To avoid service disruptions, free up space or talk to your administrator. Okay, well, that's pretty straightforward. I assume this person is stuck and they're not the administrator of the account. You need to follow the instructions and speak to the administrator on your account if you're stuck there. But if you are looking for some extra support and you are an administrator, well, the easiest way to find out where storage is being consumed inside your business is to go to the storage menu. So first up, we want to go to the admin account inside your Google Workspace account, admin.google.com. And then from there, you want to go to the storage menu on the left. That's going to give you, up the top here, a list of all the users in your business, how much storage they are consuming, and it's also going to let you know what the shared drive storage consumption is as well. Now, if you're looking for more storage than your business currently has, unfortunately, it's quite expensive. Google will give you additional, let me fix this. Google will give you additional storage blocks that you can buy. You need to pay a certain amount per month for those, but they tend to be pretty expensive. And for most businesses, the finances work out better to just bump up to the next plan, whether it be from business to business plus, or maybe from a business account to an enterprise account. And because each upper plan comes with more storage, most business owners will find that's a more economical option rather than paying for lots of extra users just for the extra space, or paying for an extra set of block storage, which you can do, but it gets pretty expensive. So my strong recommendation here is first, do a bit of an audit. See if you actually are going to continue to need more and more data. And if that's the case, consider switching to a different plan, which will help you to alleviate the space problem by giving more space to every person in the organization. Okay, gone are the days when everything is free, unfortunately. Google, gave us unlimited storage on some of their plans in the past, but they eventually decided to revoke and change that. Okay, let's move on to our next one. What do we got here? I'm going to check for any comments that have come through. No one else has said hi yet, but thank you to those who are joining on the live. It's great to have you here. Okay, so next step. All right. Okay, I'm the owner of a shared drive. I shared it to my client and I made them managers, and then they removed me. Do I still own the shared drive? Does my storage get affected when they upload files? What happens? That's a great question. Now, the owner of a shared drive is actually a bit subjective. When you first create a shared drive, the business that your account is under is actually the true owner of that shared drive. So if you've created a shared drive and you've shared it with someone outside your business actually still remains the owner of that file. Even if you are removed from the shared drive, well, don't worry, your business still owns that shared drive because it actually sits within the ownership structure of your Workspace account, rather than something like a Google Doc, which gives you the ability to change owners via the change ownership feature. Now, just sharing a Google Doc obviously doesn't change the owner. Even if you're removed, well, I don't think you could be removed if you're the owner on a Google Doc, but you can be removed access-wise from a shared file. Now, let's have a look at our shared files and see how we can actually get access again to all the shared files inside our business. For that, we'll head into the admin panel, and I forget exactly where to do this, but we're going to go ahead and find out. So I'm going to search for shared drives. And you can see here we've got a shared drives setting, but I've got a feeling this setting is just for shared drive creation. Yeah, correct. Okay, let's look for our list of drives. I'm sure I've seen this before. Maybe it's sitting in storage. Here we go. Okay, cool. So I found where to find it. So the first step is we're going to go to our admin panel, then we're going to go to storage, and then we're going to go to view all shared drives. Now, this is going to show me all the shared drives, including those that I own or don't own. So you can see here, some of them have individual users that have created them or own them, and they've got all of the shared drives listed in one place. I'm curious what Jigglypuff is. I have no idea. Anyway, but I can open up an individual shared drive. Keep in mind that I am a super administrator in my account, and I can go into manage members. And here, if I wanted to, I could actually add myself as a member to that drive. And once I add myself as a member to the drive, I'm immediately going to have access to the drive. And so, let's say, as an example, I've been kicked out of a shared drive, but the shared drive is still owned by my company because it exists here. All I would have to do is re-add myself and I'll get access again. Pretty simple and straightforward. I hope that one helps. Cool. All right. That's a great question. That's an interesting one. All right. All right. Here's a good question. I have a drive where I've got all my files. I'd like to upgrade to a business standard account with a domain that I've registered and transfer all my folders. I want to use my same Gmail account with all the folders I have in my drive, but turn it into a business account. Can I do that? Good question. When you create a fresh account in Google Workspace, it's going to create a new set of users. And those new set of users are going to be tied to the domain name that you register. Now, you can change domain names if you need to at some point in the future, but for most businesses where they're switching from a Gmail account to a business account, well, that's going to signify a shift in how you relate to the Google ecosystem. Unfortunately, you can't click a button in your Gmail account and change the ownership of files or folders over into your new business account on Google Workspace. It just doesn't work that way. They're completely different accounts, and there's no way to just paste things across. But there is a little trick that you can do to move your files across. Now, when you create a business account and you create shared drives inside the business account, you can invite users that are outside your business to access the shared drives. So this is where if you have a business account and you still want your personal Gmail account to access your business files, you could create a shared drive and then invite your Gmail account to that shared drive. Now, if you invite your Gmail account to that shared drive, the Gmail account, if it has the correct permission, can place files into the shared drive. And something very special happens when you put a file into a shared drive. Well, the ownership of that file changes to the company. And the owner of the shared drive, which in this case will be your business Google Workspace account, becomes the new owner. So all you have to do is drag and drop your files from the Gmail account into the shared account, and that shared drive will become the new owner. The new Google Workspace business account will become the new owner of the files. Now, unfortunately, if you're sharing from a Gmail account across, right now, based on the functionality of Google, you can't drag and drop a whole folder. It needs to be file by file or groups of files at a time. It's a bit of a bummer, takes a little bit longer, but the process does work if you're patient. So if you're migrating from a Gmail account over to a Workspace account and you want to keep your files, this is the method that's going to help you do it. Love that one. Great question. Cool. Let me mark that as answered. Cool. All right. Another good question here. Anonymous asks, why would I use Asana over Google Tasks? Is it more robust? Google have come a long way with Google Tasks. In the past, it was very simple, it was very individual, and there weren't many good sharing settings. There weren't many settings that allowed you to delegate to other people. There weren't the integrations with the rest of the Google ecosystem. Tasks kind of lived by itself, and the original version was just sitting in the sidebar in Outlook, but didn't really let you do anything with those tasks once you had created them. Now, Google's put a lot of effort into developing tasks, so now it's available in all of the interfaces no matter where you are in the Workspace ecosystem. If you're working your calendar, click the Tasks sidebar and it's going to bring up your tasks. Inside your email, your tasks are right there. Google have even integrated tasks into Google Chat. So if you're in a space or a room with somebody else and someone wants to create a task, there is a Tasks tab, and that allows you to see all the tasks created in a particular room. Great handy feature. Thanks very much for that one, Google. Now, I still don't think Tasks is suitable for a business that has more than about 3 employees. If you're a small team or maybe you're just getting started in business, Tasks is absolutely fine. You can use it inside of Google. I probably wouldn't use it to project manage something if you've got multiple different steps and multiple different phases in a project, but it's certainly good if you just have 4 or 5 or 10 things to try and remember to do today and you want one simple place to put all of them. Google's created a great mobile app, meaning that you can access your tasks on the go. So if you want to punch out some tasks on the desktop and then switch to the mobile and access them while you're on the move, well, that works as well. So that's a great feature. But where it really starts to fall down is where you have multiple stages in a project and you want to delegate out those stages to different people. Maybe you want a Gantt chart or other features of, more professional task or project management software that Tasks just doesn't have. Maybe you want to have reminders coming through for repeating tasks and delegate them to someone else and have yourself be notified when they're completing a recurring task. They're all the kind of things where Asana is much more powerful. Now, Asana is free for the first 15 users, which I really love about the application, but it also lets you build much more sophisticated workflows than Tasks could ever imagine. You see, inside Asana, if you pay for a premium plan, well, you can start to set up rules and automations and Kanban boards and all kinds of things that allow you to get a lot more work done. Asana is really a workflow app that's just a kick-ass task management application that is collaborative with you and your team. And I really love using Asana because we can use a lot of concurrent projects, and at any one time, we may be running hundreds of projects across our company, but they all filter in nicely into Asana so that everything is kept nice and tidy and everyone knows where their work is. So if you're a small business owner and you've only got a couple of staff in the business, you might get away with tasks as you're just getting started delegating things. It's a great little app for the basics, or if you want to use it as a personal task and reminder list. But as soon as you start getting a bit more sophisticated and a bit more grown up in your business, it's time to switch over to a more sophisticated tool. Asana's not the only choice out there. You could go with Trello, Monday, ClickUp, Rike. There's plenty of options out there on the market. Our recommendation is Asana, and we're a global partner for Asana, so we've implemented into literally hundreds and hundreds of businesses. So if you're interested in learning more, click on the button down below, reach out to our team, and we'll be very happy to help you build out some workflows in Asana or evaluate the product to see if a paid plan is right for you. Great question. Love that one. Okay, what are we going to have our look at next? All right. My work emails have stopped coming through and I need access to them. How long does it take to have everything reconnected? If right now, let me switch back to my camera here. If right now your emails have stopped, you most likely have an issue with your DNS settings. Maybe you stopped paying your bill in your Workspace account. That's always a good one to check first. But for 9 times out of 10, someone's changed something in their DNS. Your domain name has expired, or maybe someone changed some settings, or you are migrating a website, or your web developer or one of your staff changed something, and all of a sudden your emails have stopped. Now, if you need to learn how to fix your DNS records, I've got plenty of guides, and I'll drop a link down below this video to get you access to one of our guides on fixing, checking, and repairing your DNS. But if you want to know how long it takes for the emails to come back through, that's slightly more complicated. You see, if you have an account disabled or a user suspended in your Google Workspace account, and someone tries to email that account, they're going to receive a bounce back. The bounce back will say something along the lines of, this mailbox is unavailable, or this user is suspended. What that means is anyone who's trying to send you email will be notified that their email was not delivered. And that lets them know that it didn't get through, and it's not going to try and resend it. But if you have something going on with your DNS and maybe the records are missing or incorrectly configured, in some cases an email will be paused and other email servers will attempt to redeliver your email over a number of days. Now, different servers have different settings. Typically, you can expect between 2 and 5 days for an email to be retried. And even if you go and fix your settings, so if you imagine a door being shut when your emails weren't working and your door being opened again, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is going to immediately retry to send that, because they're going to be retrying sending on their own schedule. So what that means is if you've had an outage in your emails, in some cases it may take up to a week for previous emails to be redelivered. Now, in most cases, emails don't just completely disappear off the face of the earth. You might not be receiving all of your emails right now if you've got an outage of some sort in your account, but in most cases, emails will either receive a bounce back saying that this email was not able to be delivered, or it'll be eventually delivered, even if it takes up to a week. So if you've had an outage of some sort, unfortunately, once it's fixed, the easiest thing to do is sit tight and wait for those emails to come through one by one. And there's not much else you can do apart from be patient. Good question. Love that one. Okay, what do we got next? Let me see here. All right, good question. So the question here is, does Google Workspace provide an option to show joint content from both private domain email and private Gmail account within the same Workspace inbox? Can you connect a private Gmail account to a Workspace account just like you would connect private Gmail to a dedicated server's email account? Yes, you can, is the short answer to this one. Now, when you're working with Gmail, you can bring other email services and other email addresses into your Gmail mailbox. There's 2 ways to do that. The first method is to push that email from another mailbox. And so if you've got something like an iCloud email, there's a forwarding feature where you can forward any email that comes into your iCloud account to another mailbox. You may also choose to forward from a personal Gmail account into your business mailbox inside of Google Workspace. That's also configurable in the settings, and you can set that up under the forwarding feature inside of Gmail. Now, the other method is called retrieval, and that is where you configure your Google Workspace business account to go out to another email server, retrieve those emails as if it was downloading it from an old web server, and place the retrieved emails into your Gmail mailbox. Now, this works great if you've got an internet service provider who has an email account online and you want to make sure you're archiving and collecting a copy of every single email that you're sending, or of every single email that you're receiving in that mailbox. Now, that works great, but if you want to retrieve email from a Gmail account to your business workspace account, what is the best practice? Well, in my opinion, using the pop retrieval method is not that great. I wouldn't even say it's just my opinion, it's based on my experience. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it drops out, and most of the time it's pretty slow. It's got this delay in when it retrieves email. So it can take up to 10 or 20 minutes for emails to reach your primary inbox if you're retrieving it from an external account or an external server. So my recommendation, wherever possible, is to forward emails from your secondary account or your personal Gmail account into your new main business mailbox. That's the best way to do it, and that's going to help you to get email nice and quickly, and it's going to be consistent as well. Great question. Love that one. Okay, let me have a look. Oh, this is a good one. Right. Before I answer that question, I'm going to take a very short break. I'll be back in just one moment. All right, thanks for waiting. I needed a little energy break there. We are back to answer more questions. If you are just joining us, thanks for joining. I'm answering questions on everything to do with Google Workspace. If you'd like me to answer a question for you live, just head along to ask.peter.tv. Let me drop that in the chat. I worked out how to drop it in the chat. There we go. So head along, and if you're on the live stream, please make sure you say hello. Drop on in, say hi. Great to have you here. And if you're watching the replay, say hello as well. I still read the comments, don't you worry. All right, let's find our questions. So this person asks, how is it possible to get access to my Google Workspace account using DNS? The company I work for no longer exists, and my Gmail will not receive any emails. I do not have access to a Google administrator account. Well, as we say in Australia, you might be up shit creek there, but I'm curious, is it possible to get access to that domain name? If the domain name has been deregistered, can you re-register it, or can you contact the owners of the domain name? If you've been locked out of a Google account and the Google Workspace account is not accessible by you, or the admin account is not accessible by you, the only way to get access to that account is through an admin. So there either needs to be an active administrator of that Google Workspace account, or you need to become an active administrator by using the domain name. Now, Google accounts are effectively governed by DNS, or domain names. And so if you've got a Workspace account and you're locked out, you need to get access, or you've forgotten the password to your super administrator account, the only way in is through DNS, because effectively Google needs to verify who you are and get you access to the account. That's basically the only way to do it. Now, when you have access to the domain name, even if you were not the administrator originally, you can get access to the account, because having access to the domain name and full control of the domain name gives you the ability to reset the super administrator's password. Now, that's why it's very important for you to protect your domain names as well as your email passwords, because if someone gets access to your domain name, well, they can pretty easily reset the super administrator password to your Google Workspace account. So you've got to be careful to lock those down. Now, there is one caveat to all of this. There is one little other sneaky way that you can get in. If you work with a partner like IT Genius and we are managing your billing, then you can get access to your account in one of these scenarios where you've been locked out of the super admin account, you can't get access, maybe you don't have access to your DNS as well. The reseller will always have access to the back end of the account. So it's possible that you can get access through a reseller. Now, if you're in the situation where a business is in a liquidation, or you need to get access to a Google account, but maybe the domain name doesn't exist anymore, excuse me. I don't personally know the process, but it's possible that you could work with liquidators, insolvency lawyers, or anyone who's got access to some of the accounts, and then work with Google support to get access to an account again. But fundamentally, Google want you to verify that you own a domain name before they're going to give you access to a Workspace account. And so that's pretty much the only way in, which is getting access to a domain name and therefore the DNS settings. But good question. Okay, let's go and check for our next question. Okay, let me find out. Where is our next question? Lost my screen. There it is. Okay, mark that one as done. Okay, do you need to pay for each of your 56 users, or does Google offer a plan that allows you to have X amount of users for one flat monthly fee? Good question. Let's talk about Google plans. So each Google plan is billed per user. There is no per company account that lets you have X number of users. But Google do have some pretty creative ways of doing billing, especially with the different tiers of access. Now, there's two main kind of SKUs for businesses. You can either work with the business plans or you've got the enterprise plans. The business plans are designed for businesses with less than, I think it's 200 employees is the limit. If you've got more than that, then you have to be on an enterprise plan, right? So they're designed for small to medium-sized businesses. And that's because the feature set there is really, give me space in Google Drive, give me email, give me the rest of the Google Docs ecosystem. But, the fancy features like encryption, data loss prevention, any kind of enterprise-y level IT technology infrastructure management is going to be on the enterprise plans only. And Google also want to make sure that businesses are properly protected with the right kind of support. And so if you have more than 200 employees, they're forcing you to be on an enterprise plan. They basically want you to take advantage of those features so your business can be protected, and that's effectively how they run it. Now, if you have some users in your business and they don't really need to use a fully fledged mailbox, they don't really need a full account, there are some ways where you can do what's called split billing. Now, in the past, you had to have at least 300 users in your company to activate something called split billing. And what Google would let you do is have a certain portion of your staff members on one SKU or one plan, and another certain portion on another plan. Now, the numbers have changed. Google have been a little bit more lenient. So I've heard from our sales team that smaller and smaller companies are getting access to split billing. But if you've got less than 100 users, you can pretty much forget it, unfortunately. So if you're a small business, you're probably not going to get access to split billing. However, there are some special cases. Google does have a SKU called archived user, and it's available on some plans. And the archived user SKU allows you to have staff that have left your business have their data retained. And so if you have certain data retention protocols, you want to hold on to data for a certain period of time, rather than paying for a full mailbox and a full account suite for an active user, you can just pay to effectively keep the historical data of a user that is no longer part of your company. Now, personally, I don't use this method. In the small businesses that we work with, we archive accounts once permanently, and then we delete the accounts once the archive data has been backed up. And we do that using our archiving and offboarding process. And what that means is a user leaves the business. The first step is obviously to change their password and suspend their account so they can no longer access it anymore. But the next step is to migrate their data into a central archive bucket. And that central archive bucket is the place where we put all of the data from all of the staff that have left our company. And it just fills up. It gets pretty big, but as long as we're in the storage quota, we're going to be fine. And that one archive mailbox is then delegated so the right people inside the company have access if they ever need to search the mailbox. Now, we have a Business Plus plan on our main business, and that means that we get access to Google Vault. Google Vault is an e-discovery service, well, that's the technical name for it, basically meaning that it allows you to have a consolidated search window, which lets you search every single email, every single file, right across the whole business, across multiple mailboxes. And so if you have staff leaving your business, you can have them archived into that archive bucket. And then inside that archive bucket, you can use something like Google Vault to search for all of the emails, Or you could even use the delegated mailbox feature to just log into that account without a password, search for any emails that you may need access to, and find them in that one big bucket of mail, and you don't have to bother with the split billing. Now, I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent here talking about buckets and archiving users, but really, if you're a small business, you're pretty much stuck on the business plans. If you're a large business, you're going to be using the enterprise plans. It's only very large businesses that have access to any kind of split billing, but I hope in this answer I've saved you some money anyway. If you've got users that don't really need full access to a Google account, maybe you could get away with just sharing resources to them and they use a free Gmail account. Now, as much as possible, I discourage this because if they are creating any data for your company, you really want to have them as a named and licensed user. The reason for that is if someone's using a Gmail account and maybe you've shared some resources using the shared drives feature, or maybe you're really clever and you set up a security group and gave them access to resources via that security group, if they create a document inside their My Drive, they are the owner of that document. And someone who is the owner of that document means that you don't have control over that if they have a Gmail account and they're outside your business. So let's say you've got 10 staff and they're working out in the field and you're a bit tight and you don't want to pay for licenses for all of them. Well, what happens when they take some photos of a job site and it automatically gets placed into their My Drive in their Gmail account and you don't control that? 2 years later, when they've left the business and the client wants to sue you, you need those photos, you need those files, but they're nowhere to be seen because you don't have control of the account. My personal opinion is not to risk that. Just bite the bullet, pay for a license for every permanent employee in your business. The only time I would allow an exception to this is if you have contractors and they're temporary or they're coming and going often, or maybe they only need read-only access to resources. They don't actually need to create any documents or create any files. In that case, I would create a shared drive and just call it contractors. So you can be absolutely sure that anything you put in there is going out to people's Gmail addresses and it's going out to people outside your business. I would then create a security group and call that security group contractors. In that security group, I would then add the Gmail accounts of anyone I want to have accessing files. Thirdly, you might choose to use this for something like a Google site if you want to share resources with someone. You may also choose to share this with someone who needs to have calendar events. So calendar events are a good way, and they can be also shared with external parties as well. So try out those tips if you're managing the licensing in your business. I hope that's helped you think about things a bit differently. All right, cool. Great question, though. I really liked that question. Okay. I think I've answered this one before. I recorded a meeting and I did not save it before I closed. Oh, sure. Oh, yes. I'm sure I answered that one. Okay, cool. So if you've recorded a meeting, but you didn't hit stop or you didn't hit save, don't fear. Google will always save any meetings that you recorded, even if you haven't hit the stop button. Now, inside Google Meet, when you hit the recording, it automatically creates a file at the end of that meeting and puts that file into your My Drive. You'll see in your My Drive the Meet Recordings folder where all of your recordings go. And Google will also send you an email at the end of the meeting and let you know when that meeting file is ready to roll and ready to be accessed. I love this feature. It means that even though you have hit the record button, you don't have to worry about managing the file or uploading it somewhere. You don't have to worry about transcoding it or changing it like you do with, what's it called? Zoom. You got to do that with Zoom, and I don't like that. So great one there. Or it looks like I didn't switch my camera back, but that's okay. So if you're somebody who is recording meetings, you can go and find them in your Google Drive. You will also get an email as well, so look out for the emails. That's where you'll go to find them. Good question. Okay. This is a good question. Can you transfer existing emails to a Google group the way that emails remain searchable within that group? Okay, good question. If you've got emails, and I assume your emails are sitting in a user account right now, and you want to switch them over into a group, I assume that it's both within the same domain, and so you just need to run a migration. Now, whether you get the help of IT Genius to do that, we do this all day, every day, or if you want to do it yourself, it's fine. But effectively, you need to migrate the mail from your mailbox into the group mailbox or the group user, and then you'll have access to it. Now, if you're just using a distribution group and it is not actually a shared mailbox, then that's not going to work. When people say group, sometimes they mean like group email, like a mailbox. Yeah, it's not going to work unless you... it's not going to work if you're using just a distribution group. It has to actually be a shared mailbox. But that will work. Good question. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. I have a Google Workspace account logged into my personal devices. I have Google Photos installed, and I've got my photos backed up to my personal account. The app has an option to switch between accounts, between my personal and the business account. Is the admin of that business able to see the photos, even though I never uploaded them into a Workspace account? Great question here. Now, Google Photos is interesting, particularly on iOS. If you're using Android, your administrator, if they choose, can roll out what used to be called Android for Work. They may have changed the name now, but effectively what it gives you is a completely walled garden for all of your files and all of your accounts. So you've got one set of apps for your business access and one set of apps for your personal access. Now, I love this feature because it means that when you open up Photos, you're either in the business version of Photos and you get your business photos, or you're in the personal version of Photos and you only get your personal photos based on those Google accounts. But on iOS, it's a little bit different. You can flick between the different accounts, but there's only one copy of the app. You don't have multiple apps. And so if you're backing up your photos to your personal Gmail account or personal Google Workspace account, and then you switch to your business account controlled by somebody else, it still shows you all the photos. But there's a little telltale sign. See, you'll have a little cloud icon, and I think it has a strike through it. And that little cloud icon will show you that the photos in that account are not actually backed up to that particular user. When you switch back to your personal account, you'll see that they are backed up. So that's the way that you double check. Now, if you go to your business account and you open an individual photo and you click back up, it will back up that photo to that account at that point in time. But as long as you don't take that manual action, your account will be safe from any of your personal photos uploading to your business account. If you want to double check which photos might be backed up to your business account, the easiest way to do that is to access Photos on the web, photos.google.com, and that's going to show you anything saved inside your business account. So you can just double check to make sure that the wrong photos haven't gone to the wrong place. Great question. Love that question. That's a good one. Lots of questions like that on the channel. Okay, I'm currently based in Ireland and I would like to go back to Italy with my girlfriend. I can't help you with relationship issues, sorry. My job is remote. In order to access the platforms, I need to use a VPN on my laptop. Do you think this is doable? Yeah, probably. VPNs work all around the world. I would say probably visit first and just double check your internet speeds. But if you've got a good internet connection, you should be fine. You should be fine. That's a funny one. Okay, I'm unable to receive my emails. I don't know how to fix them. Okay, we've got multiple guides on how to fix your emails if your DNS is not working. Check them out on our channel. Just search our channel for DNS. You will find them. And if you get stuck, you can buy a quick fix from our team. Let me show you what they look like. It's really easy. You just go to itgenius.com and then look for the quick fix product. Go to products. Where is quick fix? Quick fix support. This is like a couple of $100, 295 Australian dollars, which is only 150 USD. And our team will help you fix a single small basic issue, anything to do with Google Workspace or any of these apps. So if you've got your DNS broken, if you need to, I don't know, maybe migrate one user mailbox, I've got to be careful what I promise here. Here we go. I've got there's a list of stuff that you can do on the page. Google Drive support if you need some support, fixing permissions if you haven't worked it out, if you need to get a policy working and that policy is not working for you, account recovery if you've lost access to your account and you need to get it back, if you need to archive a user account. Yeah, if you find yourself using these more than often, it would be more cost effective for you to just switch to Concierge because then you can get all you can eat support from our team. But this one's really useful. Quick fix is when you've got one small thing, maybe you want to test out our team, see if we're a good fit to work together. It's really great for that. Okay. Great questions coming through. I love these. Okay. Are Chromebooks more useful than Windows 11? Are they easy to do a hard reset like an Android phone? That's a great question. I love that. Let me cover the easy part of that. Chromebooks make it really easy to reset, and Chromebooks, wow, they've just got this fantastic feature which makes maintenance very, very pleasurable on a Chromebook. Now, you may not know this, but Chromebooks actually have 2 copies of their operating system inside the Chromebook. Just think of it like 2 brains. And when one brain is being used for the computer as you're working on it, in the background, it's updating the second brain. Now, if you're using a Windows computer and you've ever gone to shut it down and it says, hey, I need to do updates, and then it takes 15 minutes to do those updates, well, you never have that problem with a Chromebook because your updates are happening in the background with the second version of the brain. And then all you need to do is reboot the computer, bang, hey presto, you're into the new version of the Chromebook. Now, for whatever reason, if it doesn't boot or it doesn't load, it's got its other brain as a backup and it'll go back to that. But I've never had that happen in 10 years of using Chromebooks. Never been an issue. Now, can you wipe them easily? Yes, because you have that 2-brain system, Android can easily have a fresh copy of the operating system to revert back to when it needs to. You don't need to install USB sticks or CD-ROMs or anything like that to try and get a copy of your operating system back into the computer and refresh it. If you want to reboot a Chromebook, all you need to do is go to the settings, click on Power Wash, and it will completely wipe that machine, take it back to standard operating environment, and then it reboots and you can log in again from scratch. So I love this. Great, great, great stuff. Now, is it easier to use than Windows? Well, that's a bit of a more nuanced answer. Chrome is a simpler operating system. It is absolutely bulletproof. It doesn't have viruses, malware, spyware, and those kind of things that infect the operating system. There's just next to no vulnerabilities for Chrome. It's pretty much a Linux computer. So if you've been around long enough, you would know that Linux is pretty rock solid. Not the most user-friendly out of the box for most business people because there's apps and services that we want to use. But Chrome has been designed to work around the Google ecosystem, and it's been designed for business users. Now, you can't install Windows apps or Mac apps on the Chromebook. So you can't install Photoshop, you can't install Microsoft Word, although you can install the Android versions of many different applications. So there's a bit of a workaround, but it's not perfect. But what Chrome is really, really great for is working on the web. Now, most tools and most businesses now are pretty much operating in the cloud and on the web for most of the work that we're doing. Our business applications are probably web-based. Our task management is web-based. Obviously, all the Google ecosystem is web-based as well. So for the most part, you can get by with anything you need to get done in your business life with the Chromebook. Now, it may not be the device that you choose to use if you want to edit videos. If that's part of your job, it's not going to be a good move. But if you're a leader or an executive in a business, Chromebooks are fantastic. The thing that I love about it is because it's a bit more limited in the apps that it can run, it forces me to delegate things to my team. And I've been using Chrome devices as my primary devices for nearly a decade now. Now, when I'm on the road, and right now I happen to be using a Mac because I'm unfortunately live streaming, and the kind of power that I need to live stream just isn't really what Chromebooks are designed for. I need a machine with a dedicated graphics card. And while Chrome devices support heaps and heaps of RAM, and you'll never slow them down even if you open 20 or 30 or 50 tabs if you have enough RAM, well, unfortunately, when I'm live streaming and processing 4K video, I do need to use a computer for that. And so there are differences and there are scenarios where a Chrome device works really, really great. I'm a big believer in them. Our CEO, Scott, uses that laptop as his daily driver. I use Chrome devices when I'm not doing a live stream, and I love them for all of my work because they're simple, they're effective, they are blisteringly fast, and they are very secure for your business as well. So check it out, try them out. If you're interested in a test of Chrome before committing, you can download something which used to be called Neverware, but it's now called Chrome OS Flex. And Chrome OS Flex is the Chrome operating system that can be installed on third-party computers. Now, it misses 1 or 2 features. You can't run Android apps on them, but you can plug a USB stick with Chrome OS Flex into any computer and boot into Chrome OS. And you can test it out without having to format or wipe your hard drive. It basically just loads the operating system up into RAM, and you can use it as a tester without destroying any of your data. So if you're interested in trying out Chrome or a Chromebook rather than purchasing a piece of hardware, my recommendation would be to check out Chrome OS Flex, download it, put it on a USB stick, plug it into your existing computer, Mac or PC will work fine, and give it a try. See what you think, and let me know down in the comments what you think when you give it a go. Okay, great question. Love that one. How do we zap post in LinkedIn to our Google business post? I see that Zapier doesn't support this. Do you have any idea how this can be done? Maybe another tool? Short answer is no. If it's not in Zapier, it's probably not possible. There might be third-party hacks, but I'm guessing they're going to get pretty damn technical. Here's how I'd handle that. I'm a big fan of systemization, automation, and when the technology tools don't have a way of doing something via a technical automation, I love to get team involved. And so we obviously have a large team, primarily in the Philippines, where we've got additional labor available to us at rates that are more affordable to a business than it would be if we were solely hiring people in Australia, which is where we are based. So when I have additional labor available for me and I'm able to utilize that labor, it means that small tasks like, hey, every time I post on LinkedIn, I'd like you to go and cut and paste this and put it on Google. I know it's a pain in the ass to do that extra step, but if it just needs to be done, rather than you doing it yourself as a business owner, it would be much better to delegate that to somebody else to do. So that's my honest recommendation there, is to find someone to do it for you manually. Have that set as a repeating process. Maybe you document how that process is done using Google Sites, and then you set a recurring task in something like Asana for that to just happen over and over and over again. That's a nice little system to make sure that it gets done. Okay, good question though. Right. Whoopsie, I think I just marked it. Damn, I just marked that one as answered. Oops, sorry. It was something to do with Zoho, and I don't really know Zoho, so we'll have to skip that one. Okay. We've been locked out of our Google account, and we're having a hard time restoring. Do you have a service to help us restore? Yes, it's called Quick Fix. Head along to itgenius.com, grab Quick Fix, $150 USD, and our team will be happy to help you out. So many questions. There were nearly 50 questions waiting here for me today, which is pretty crazy. Okay. My Gmail is not working on my business. I've checked everything, but I can't find the issue. It's not really enough context for me to help answer that question, but if you are stuck anywhere, you can go to itgenius DNS fix. This should show up. Here we go. How to check and fix your DNS MX records. There's a full guide there on how to check it. But we also have another video. Let's say workspace broken. This is like, here we go. Why is my Gmail broken? There we go. This is the one. This is the one. Oh, maybe it is that. Oh, hold on. No, it's this one. Oh, geez. I've covered this so many times. I forget which video is which sometimes. Cool. All right. So this one, why did my email stop working? This is the one. If you need help with your emails, check that. Let me drop this into the chat here. So if you're watching the replay, you'll have it on the live. You'll have it on the live chat. Okay. So many questions. All right, let's see if there's any recent ones. Anyone put anything up from today? I don't know. It's hard to know when the questions are actually posted, actually. That's all right. Okay. All right, here's an interesting question. If I create a Google group and mail my team and then delete it, so admin can find who created that group. Yes. Everything you do inside a Google Workspace account is tracked. There is an audit log, and so every action is kept in the audit log. So anytime you change a file, add a file, delete a file, move a file, rename a file, it's all in the log. That's just in Google Drive. There's a log for every app. There's a log for Google Sites. There's a log for Calendar. There's a log for Groups service. There's a log for everything. So if you've created a group, if you've sent an email, it's going to be tracked. If someone has enabled something like Google Vault, that is going to keep a copy of every single email in and out of the organization in the vault, which means that even if you delete an email from a Gmail inbox, it still exists in the vault. So expect that when you're working with a Google Workspace account, every single thing is going to be tracked, every single thing is going to be recorded. And the logs last for a long time, years. So just expect that if you're working with a business account, every single thing is in some way going to be recorded. That's pretty much how it goes. I get this question on the channel seemingly every month, but that's what it is. Simple answer. Okay, let's go next. If you're on the live, by the way, make sure you say hi, guys. Would love to have you. Would love to have you saying hi. Okay, good question. Can I set it up? Can I set up an auto reminder to the members on certain days if there are no replies? I don't know what this is referring to as members. So I'm not sure what this is. But if it's about email, I know you could automatically set a reminder if you've sent someone an email and they haven't got back to you. Google's AI will pop up and say, hey, it looks like this person hasn't got back to you. Do you want to send them a follow-up? And it'll prompt you for things like that. So to access that, you just go to your Gmail settings and you switch things on. And I may as well show you how to do that now. Let's go to my Gmail settings. And what you're looking for here, I can't actually remember what the setting is called. I think it's called like AI tools or something. Probably not that. Google probably got a smarter name than that. Let's go and have a look. My internet's just a tiny bit slow because I'm running on 4G right now. Okay, so nudges. Here we go. So you want to switch on nudges. When you switch on nudges in your Gmail account, let me see. Cool. When you switch on nudges inside your Gmail account, it's going to automatically pop up and prompt you if you've emailed someone, but they haven't emailed you back. It'll prompt you to follow up. It will also nudge you if someone emails you and you haven't responded to them. It will remind you to send them a response. Love this feature. Nice work, Google. Very useful. Okay. This is a good question. How can I send 15,000 emails per day? And which email software can I use for bulk email? Great question. Now, considering this is a small business and technology forum, I would just be very careful to say, don't try and do this in your Google Workspace account. Don't try and send 15,000 emails from a Workspace account. Google Workspace is not designed for mass email. It's not designed for enterprise email. Now, Google does have some features which are a bit misleading. They have a mail merge feature, and you can actually use a spreadsheet and third-party add-ons for mail merges as well, and send emails to lots and lots and lots of different people at the same time. The challenge is Google has a limit. I think it's about 750 emails per day, where they don't want you to send more than that from one mailbox, because effectively you're sending commercial mail from, what is a business mailbox. They don't want that. Commercial mail servers have special provisions in place, like dedicated IP addresses, like managing things like unsubscribes and spamming reports, and Google's not really geared up for or designed for that. So if you're sending an email to 100 people or a couple hundred people, just like, a customer newsletter or an update on your prices or something like that, Google Gmail mass sending mode is perfect for that. But if you actually want to send any kind of true bulk email, like more than 500 emails, you need to switch to an email provider. Now, there's the basic email providers, there's the automation email providers, and then there's the enterprise email providers. The basic ones are people like MailChimp, and they give you a basic newsletter service. You upload your list if you've got a list of people, or you connect it to your website, and when someone signs up, you have your emails there, and you can then just log into MailChimp, choose an email. I think they do include some basic automations now. Hit send, and it goes out to your customer list. Anyone who unsubscribes won't receive future emails unless they specifically opt in again. Level 2 would be automation-based email senders. Now, these are more marketing platforms. Think HubSpot or Infusionsoft, and these are basically designed to help you create sequences and automations with your emails. So you can have one email go out Monday, one email go out Thursday. Maybe if someone takes a certain action, they change to a different sequence, or a certain thing happens when someone clicks a certain button or does a certain thing. They're the automation email providers. Then you have your enterprise email providers, and they're more programmatic and for high volume. Now, if you're doing 15,000 a day, you're probably going to go straight up to the enterprise emailers, because they're going to have things like rotating and dedicated IP addresses. You've got more tools in place for things like deliverability, making sure your emails land in people's mailboxes. People like MailChimp and Infusionsoft will just kind of automate these things for you. But if you're in the territory of spending more than 1,000 emails a day regularly, you might want to look at something more enterprise focused. Some of those might be SendGrid. I'm trying to think of those. MailChimp actually bought one of them recently, but I've forgotten the name. But anyway, have a look around. They're actually called ESPs, which I don't know what that stands for. Let's look at ESP. ESP. Email service provider. Oh, there we go. That's not rocket science, is it? Cool. Okay. What do we got here? All right. I think that's it for today, guys. I've covered just about all I can cover. So I'm going to say thank you so much for joining, and I will see you at the next one. Take care. Be well. If you'd like to join us, we have a pretty awesome event coming up in the next couple of days. Let me share my screen on that one again. It's called Slackers to Stars. It's about building high-performing teams. I love running these trainings. This is free. Come along. Midday, Tuesday the 26th. Would love to see you there. All right. We will see you soon.